Good afternoon, my name is Nick Refn and I'm on the famous couch sitting next to What's in My Bag. Lately, I started buying a lot of ska music. It's a genre I don't know very much about, but I find it very interesting. So I was able to find a couple of ska compilations, which I highly recommend. One of them from a very good label. Stay away, you renegade. I don't want to be one of those annoying people that always talk about the past, so I felt I had to take something modern. Here is an artist called Amoeba. I bought her first album in a record store in New York just by chance, because I sometimes go in and I just buy and buy and buy. Just, you know, and plus I want to support stores. So I thought this was a pretty cool record. It was so expensive that I thought it had to be really, really good. And it's due to London. It's not an original vinyl, which I usually tend to collect. I love to hunt for old vinyl. So anyway, that's that one. I cried a river over you. This was another expensive one that I thought was pretty groovy. We got Vincent Price here, and I believe it's an acting record. As we all know, I went to acting school for a year before I got kicked out, so I can brush up on my actually performance pieces with one of the kings of camp acting, Vincent Price.
Yes, it is unfortunate, but then we all have our crosses to bear. Mine might well be Marissa.
Ironically, I just bought the remake rights to Witchfinder General, which was one of Vincent's fantastic movies. So I went into the ska section and I started looking for really obscure vinyl. Things that I had never heard of. I didn't even know what the cover is. All I see is this. I don't know what this is, but I thought that could be really interesting. Then I turn it around and I see a guy on a guitar like this. So I thought I had to get that. Then we have Dionne Warwick, great soul princess. I usually don't buy a lot of these kind of albums, but I thought the cover was really groovy and she's very, very beautiful on it. And since I made a movie about beauty, I felt it was very in its moment to include her. This I have, but I just wanted to make everyone aware of it. This is a great compilation. It basically talks a lot about the Minneapolis Sound at the time of Prince's beginning, the club scene there. And I highly, highly would recommend getting this one. It's really, really groovy. I like album covers, so I thought Peggy Lee can never go wrong. Another Peggy Lee. Something that my wife is going to roll her eyes about. Oh, guess what? Another Peggy Lee. So I really went crazy in the Peggy Lee section. He's alright now, yeah, I got a man now. Oh, I got a man now. Way over town, he's good to me. He's good to me. Then I found this. I didn't know that there was this release. This is a beautiful soundtrack to one of the great cinematic experiences, The Red Balloon. It seemed to be an original. I like things like that. I like when elements are old. That I'm definitely gonna get. I got a little Highbrows, but I can't help myself. This is an incredible, incredible compilation. And strangely, I have had so much rock and roll and electronic and various music forms that I actually started moving into jazz lately. I would definitely say John Coltrane is a great place to start if you're like me, slowly getting into that whole world. It's a bit like stepping into the classical world because it's so specific that you really have to indulge in it to just understand who's who. We got some CDs. I always felt that once in a while I was the Johnny Thunders of movie making. Not literally, but his attitude was fucking amazing. So this is a Johnny Thunders CD, and here's another Johnny Thunders Heartbreakers live album, which I highly recommend. And you can never go wrong with him. A couple of Jimmy Smith stuff. He's one of the great jazz people and a great intro into jazz as well. It's also extremely funky and sexy at the same time, and by having him in your collection you also become very sophisticated. So it's actually a win-win all the way around. Temptations, big fan, big fan. And my mother was a huge, or is a huge Temptation fan, and I grew up with a lot of the soul music of the 60s and 70s. My mother actually photographed a lot of these artists, so I couldn't rebel when I was younger. She had done it all. So my thing became Ronald Reagan, because that was the one thing she hated.
The aggressive impulses of an evil empire.
Here's another. I have this, but I like this so much that I thought I was just going to get it again. Even though it's an anthology, it's just really great to have on vinyl. You sometimes look in the soundtrack section at Amoeba, and here is Shaft's big score. You can sometimes find some pretty groovy stuff on some of these records. Gordon Parks, he was a very interesting photographer actually as well. There's a great photography book of his that I highly recommend. I like sounds of spaceships, and so I've been trying to find old music from science fiction films. They're very hard to get, but I was able to find a rocket ship. Well, it was usually orchestral, but sometimes you come across more avant-garde sounds, like the Martian Mutations. You know you're in for something. Approaching Mars, End Tidal, interesting stuff like that. Here's another one, actually because it's probably going to help Cliff and I for our next movie. I'm actually researching our next movie, Cliff. And I've been listening to a lot of ska music for my next movie. It's a spy movie that I want to make. Destination Moon sounded like a science fiction album. On the surface of the moon, escape from the moon, final Earth, outer space. It kind of says it all. And then, last but not least, my first jazz record that I ever got. Do you know this one, Cliff? Okay, I'm gonna buy this for you, because it truly is an incredible album. Jimmy Smith's The Cat. Thank you. Thank you.